We must face the simple truth. To protect America as a land that welcomes immigrants, we must first secure the border and secure it now.
Last week, President Joe Biden unveiled new restrictions at the U.S. southern border. The announcement drawing ire from some members of his own party and longtime advocates as action on immigration reform remains stalled on Capitol Hill ahead of the November election. The executive action now in effect stops any migrants who cross the border illegally from being eligible for asylum status. They're also going to be subject to immediate deportation. Unaccompanied children are exempt from the policy. The restrictions will be in place for 2 weeks when an average of 2,500 migrants are crossing the border per day. Migrants still looking to claim asylum are still able to make appointments at the border through the CBP One app. Illinois Congressman Chuy Garcia, the first Mexican-American elected to Capitol Hill from the Midwest, says he's skeptical.
Militarization and restrictive policies by themselves do not work. We also need to invest in the agencies that process applications for asylum so that there is a speedier, orderly processing and that we're not en masse denying people their asylum claims simply because we want to appear to be tough.
The situation at the southern border has deeply impacted Chicago. Chicago has taken in more than 42,000 migrants since 2022, most of them sent here by the Republican governor of Texas by bus and by plane. Just under 7,000 residents currently live in 17 city and state-run shelters. Reaction from city council members has been mixed.
The president, made this decision, and he didn't make it lightly. I mean, he's taking a look at how the unlimited amount of folks that are crossing the border and how it's impacting cities like Chicago, New York, Denver.
I think a lot of the decisions that we see from President Biden are reactions rather than solutions. We need a president that sits down with a Mexican president that has a detailed plan on how to address the issues at the border.
A similar policy used by the Trump administration was blocked by a federal court in 2018. Groups like the ACLU have promised to take the Biden White House to court. Maricela Garcia is the CEO of Gads Hill Centers. It's a community organization that helps children and their families with education, health, and employment programs. She's also a member of the Illinois Latino Agenda. Maricela, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
So the Illinois Latino Agenda did issue a statement saying that the new restrictions at the border could lead to some worse conditions for migrants. What is your concern about the impact of the policy?
Well, by limiting the paths for asylum seekers to find a safe place to live is going to put more pressure on those illegal actions like human trafficking to help people enter the country without authorization. That our main concern is that it doesn't resolve the issue. This executive order just adds to the problems that we have seen due to the inaction of Congress to do their job developing the laws that are necessary to organize a chaotic existing immigration system.
And obviously Congress isn't doing anything, so the president is taking steps he feels he has the power to do. This new policy draws a line between those who are crossing the southern border unlawfully and those who have legitimate reason to seek asylum. In your experience working in that space, how difficult is it to make that distinction?
It requires having more staff. The immigration workforce at this point is not enough. There are not enough agents, there are not enough judges, there is not enough personnel to respond to the increase of numbers of people seeking asylum. So rather than just turning them back and closing the borders, I think that we need to invest in allocating the resources to be able to manage the border legally and maintaining our history and our commitment to protect those escaping or fleeing from wars and seeking asylum due to political reasons or for religion reasons.
So, Marisol, I hear what you're saying, and it's we need to do better in trying to help. But President Biden said, look, doing something is not an option right now because the asylum system is overwhelmed, regardless of intention. What specific acceptable steps would you or your group want to see the administration try that would pass muster with the Latino community?
The problem is that an executive order is like trying to build another floor on a building without foundation, without Congress taking the responsibility to pass a new set of immigration laws. Any executive order just adds to the problem because there is no solution. And so I think that what needs to be done is that the American public needs to put pressure on the members of Congress that represent them, that their responsibility is exactly to pass laws and uphold the law. And so we see that this executive order is just it's another weight on a building that has no foundation. So what we would like to see is that a new generation of laws establish a fair, firm, and free of cruelty immigration system.
One of the things that your groups have called for is a executive action on behalf of the president to move on work permits for long-term immigrants. What does that look like, and how will that change the situation?
Well, the people need to work. If they are here, they are already in the country, and they are already living, like in the case of the 40,000 migrants in Chicago, we need to find ways for them to make a living. And since they are waiting for their applications to be processed and heard, it is just the right thing to do to allow them to work so that they can provide for themselves and their families and not depend on the city of Chicago and other services for their survival. So what we see is that work is important. If people are here, then having the authorization to work, and that should be also extended to those that are already working here and have been contributing with their taxes to the economy and to the institutions in this country. So the work permits should be authorized for migrants, for the migrants that have been coming for the past 2 years, as well as for those that have no solution for their immigration status, but are already working.
All right, just a few seconds for this answer. I'm not sure you can answer it, but is the city prepared for what is expected to be an increase in the influx of migrants around the DNC, the Democratic Convention time?
From what I hear from the city, from what the mayor has been conveying, I think that the city is going to be overwhelmed if there are more migrants coming, as it is potentially the plan from the governor of Texas to send more. The city will likely not have the capacity to manage that many more people.
All right, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Maricela Garcia, the CEO of Gads Hill Center, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, still to come on WGN TV Political Report. Conventions are right around the corner, and there's lots to be done to keep everybody safe. More on the preparations that are underway when we come back. Don't go away.